This video gives an overview of musical romanticism to supplement what you are learning from your readings in a good music history textbook. Romanticism, which might be defined as a cultural movement stressing emotion, imagination, and individuality, first emerged in literature around 1800, then permeating visual art and music. Although the most distinctive products of literary romanticism had appeared by the 1830s, the term romanticism has often been applied to literature, art, and music of the entire 19th century. In his prelude of 1799, English poet William Wordsworth declared that, quote, "all good poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings." End quote. Substituting the word music for the word poetry captures how important the experience and expression of emotion was for 19th century music. Furthermore, the Romantics were very interested in connections between music, literature, and the visual arts. Music was used to help tell fantastic stories like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Finally, for many 19th century thinkers, music had risen to the top of the aesthetic hierarchy. Where previously music was perceived as inferior to poetry and sculpture, as having no words or form, in the 19th century music was understood to express what words could not express, thus transcending the material for something more ideal and spiritual. Some called this absolute music. 19th century society also gave new respect to composers, who were often characterized as strongly individualistic with independent artistic voices. As you review the music of composers such as Schubert and the Schumanns, Chopin and Liszt, Berlioz and Brahms, to picture just a few, listen for their diverse styles. As we listen to the diverse music of all of these composers, some general trends emerge. 19th century music is more chromatic than earlier musics, with more extremes in dynamics, pitch, tempo, and timbre or tone color. Earlier genres such as the sonata, symphony, string quartet, and opera continue to be important, although we see new emphasis on miniatures such as art songs and piano character pieces, and on increasingly long symphonies and operas. Music was an important part of the lives of middle-class and affluent 19th century people. Going to public concerts and opera was a favorite pastime. Music conservatories in places such as Paris, France, and Leipzig, Germany, provided an ever higher caliber of virtuoso instrumentalists and singers for these concerts. Children took music lessons and adults gathered together for private music-making events. On your slide, you can see a painting of a Schubertiade in Vienna. Art songs were chief among the music performed in the home for private and group entertainment. The art song is a composition for solo voice and piano that merges poetic and musical concerns. It became one of the most popular genres of 19th century Romanticism, which was always looking for connections between the arts. Sometimes these art songs were grouped into larger collections called song cycles, or, auf Deutsch, in German, Liederkreis. Among the important composers of early 19th century German Lieder were Franz Schubert and Robert and Clara Schumann. The son of a schoolteacher, Franz Schubert spent his entire life in Vienna and grew up in the shadow of Beethoven. Schubert wrote in all musical genres of his day. A profound lyricism pervades all his music, and his art songs are his greatest masterpieces. Schubert wrote over 600 art songs, and in the 1820s published two really important song cycles. The song cycle Die schöne Müllerin, or The Maid of the Mill, is one of your focus compositions for the term. Make sure to read more about it and listen to it and study its score alongside an English translation of the words. You may notice that in addition to writing beautiful melodies, Schubert cleverly used the piano to depict images from the poetic text. Piano music was also a major component of private music making, and, with the rise of the solo recital, became a staple of the concert stage as well. Composers such as the Schumanns, Frédéric Chopin, and Felix Mendelssohn wrote some music that was accessible for amateurs. These compositions were often short, with expressive titles, which has led us to call them character pieces. They also wrote much more virtuosic works, such as those composed and performed by one of the greatest traveling virtuosos of the 19th century, Franz Liszt. As you read about these composers in your favorite music history textbook, make sure to take the time to listen to some of their music, whether from your own collection or as found online at sites such as YouTube. This slide ends your video introduction to Romanticism. Please proceed to other videos about more monumental 19th century forms such as the symphony and the opera.